welcome to the Review of Champions. Today we're going to talk about episode 3 of season 2 of The Mandalorian, currently streaming on Disney+. With me are ShadowBiz, Maximura, and ArArArchStanton. I am Sakaar's Grandmaster. And before we begin, I would like to invite you all to join us on Sakaar, sign up, make an account, talk us up, and maybe even join the podcast or review. Links will be down below in the descriptions. Episode 3 is called The Heiress. Am I pronouncing that right, boys?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It starts off with Mando making his way to Trask, the planet where he has to deliver the passenger, where he finds someone who will lead him to his kind. He finds his kind and joins them on a mission, and they help him further along the way to find the Jedi where he can deliver the child, which is his mission after all. That's in very short how the episode goes. I would like to ask any of you if you want to start with your review.
I'll jump into it then.
Max.
As much as the previous episode might have gotten people thinking, oh, this is so disjointed and not connected, this was the cracked out version of jointed and connected. This is all the information you can shove into a storyline going on. And if you are a fan of the animated series, you really have a lot to go on from this episode. There's a lot of stuff going on there that was very exciting. It obviously paid off the trip from the previous episode. And I think it really did make it seem a lot more valuable. It really paid it off more almost by having the lack of stuff in the previous episode compared to the sudden pile on here. It felt epic to get that bit of information.
Arch?
I had a great time with it. It almost seemed a little bit more fast paced, and in fact, I guess it was, right? Like the last one was took a little bit more time, and it was a little bit of a slow build until like kind of an epic sort of battle sequence with those fighters. This one kind of played out. I don't know. It played out a little bit quicker. You got right into a kind of like a situation with the I don't know what they were, the fishermen who were trying to take advantage of him, and then that immediately transitioned into the kind of battle for the ship that they were on. I had a good time with it. Of course, I really like the fact that this show sort of meanders around a bit. I think that's kind of the point. So I'm liking sort of the more random type adventures to it. And the one thing I took out of it was at the very start, the openings to all 3 episodes so far this season to me have been like really awesome. I think they're doing good, like just kicking ass with like the openings. The first one started out with that little group. I'm sorry, the second one started out with that little group that was trying to take Baby Yoda from him, and he took care of them. And then this one started out with the sort of epic landing, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, overall really enjoyable.
I have something on that landing, by the way. I read it on Twitter, so it's not something I made up. But the episode was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, the daughter of Ron Howard. And Ron Howard directed Apollo 13. And that landing was, in this episode, was an homage to the landing of the capsule in Apollo 13. If you look it up on Twitter, actually she commented on it that it was on purpose and that it was a good catch of the one person that saw it. But it was a homage to her father she put in. Overall, I thought she did an excellent job on this episode in directing, and I can see her moving on in that direction. Sorry.
I was just going to add that one of the other aspects that I loved about it, that like half the show was hallway laser battles. I love Star Wars hallway laser battles with stormtroopers. I just thought that was great. It kind of took me back to like A New Hope or any of the originals in that regard, where they'd just be on an enemy ship and be in a hallway laser battle with stormtroopers. I thought it was great. I thought it was a fun time.
I also like that Disney managed to canonize Pirates of the Caribbean as part of the Star Wars universe through the Fisher species and David Jones.
Yeah, I immediately got a callback to that as well. Biz, you have anything?
Yeah, it was an awesome episode. Like, it was rather action heavy. I didn't think it was going to be that action heavy, but it was awesome anyway. There was a certain character that was revealed that kind of blew me away. I didn't even though I knew that the actor's going to play that lead character, I was still kind of surprised. I just didn't expect it. Yeah, it was all around like a 11 out of 10 episode. Yeah.
What I realized about it was that the actress who played the part, the character was actually designed after the actress they selected to voice on the show. So when she was selected as the actress to play on the show, she already looked like the character because it was designed after her.
You guys are gonna have to fill me in, man. I think I know who you're talking about, but I'm not quite sure.
The redhead, Bo.
Okay.
She actually has an amazing background there. She started as part of a terrorist cell on Mandalore. They were going against her own sister, Satine, not to be confused with Sabine Wren, who was a different Mandalorian. So her sister Satine was trying to rule Mandalore through peace, and they were a group that wanted to return to an era of their warfaring ways. Right. So she was a part of that group, but then she realized what was going on, that she'd kind of been conned into that belief a little bit, and ended up flipping back. Her sister was also she was the love interest of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that was a pretty interesting little tie-in there. Beyond that, she's a part of the Black Saber history, or the Dark Saber, the Bo character from this episode. She wielded it after it being given back to her after it had been taken away from Maul by Ahsoka Tano. So there's some time between when Ahsoka handed that saber to her, where it ended up in the hands of this Moff from the current show, and that's going to be an interesting bit of backstory to see where that goes.
So clue me in here. She alluded to the fact that Mando, as we know him, is a part of some branch group of the Mandalorians. Now, is she right that he's a branch group, or is she the branch group and he's the main group? I was a little confused.
She's absolutely correct that they are the branch group. She is true Mandalorian. She's leadership cast of Mandalorian.
And he doesn't know that?
All he is a orphan who's been trained in the ways of Mandalore. He's not even Mandalorian. He's just been trained to follow the pursuits of it. So it's a major.
That's how I understood it as well.
Yeah, they're like an extremist, like offshoot.
Very interesting. And he had no idea. He doesn't know that.
Well, he knows that there was a real race of Mandalorians, but they've more or less disappeared from the galaxy at this point after the Civil Wars and all the chaos. They even fought against Emperor Palpatine, trying to get them to get on board with the Empire. So they got absolutely wrecked in their past. There's just a handful of actual true Mandalorians left.
Nice. Yeah, he didn't even know that you could go back to Mandalore. And Bo-Katan's like, don't believe everything you hear. So there's like an information gap there too.
So one thing that I've seen people batting around, because they obviously teased Ahsoka for in the very near future. I'm kind of getting the sense that that's not going to happen next episode. Like maybe he'll meet her at the end or something like that. But I'm not expecting Ahsoka to have a big part in the next episode.
The next episode will be directed by Carl Weathers. And we've seen in the trailer he and Gina Carano will come back in this show. So there's a good chance he will first visit them before he will go to the Forest Moon to see Ahsoka.
Oh, and of course, we've got to mention the Mon Cal and the Quarrens. How cool was that? Yeah.
They're Mon Calamari. This is something that people have been waiting for. It may not have been Akbar, but it was Mon Calamari.
Yeah, absolutely. I love their interior design skills, by the way.
Absolutely, it looks amazing.
Yeah, what he did with the Razor Crest.
I was gonna ask. So there seem to be a lot of like squid references, or kind of like that type of, like what the child was eating. Like with the, first of all, I don't know how he poured out this porridge stuff and then a squid was in it or something. It was weird. But then also they caught that big giant. I almost think it's the same creature. Was anybody else getting that, or is that a different creature? I don't really know. Like the big giant one that ate Baby Yoda's pod. Is that the same thing as the small ones he was eating?
It may be like primary fishing achievement of that planet. That may be the only real fish that exists in that ocean.
Yeah, it just seemed like almost the same thing. And even that one that kind of crawled down at the end,
Yeah.
Was that was the same thing they were eating? I imagine.
The same species.
It's like they're winking at us.
By the way, there was an amazing shot with all the Baby Yoda faces. Like you get the shot as a point of view from the creature that's crawling down. That a very good shot.
That was really cool. Was anybody else nervous that he was about to eat their like newly born kid? Like
Yes.
the frog lady. I was so nervous. He was just in the bowl, and I was just waiting for him to like pick it up and eat it in front of them. I was like,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what Max said, also that made the last episode before this, The Passenger, a better episode, because now you have a more feeling with Frog Lady and her man and the kids, and you know, it has more meaning. So that episode is already of a higher value than we discussed last week, to me.
Also, of the eggs there, they only had one that hatched that they were celebrating right there. Like, it makes you wonder what the fertilization rate is there. Maybe him eating the eggs wasn't an issue because he's only capable of fertilizing one. Like, there was just the one that came out of what was left there, so it really does make you wonder. I've heard some griping about the genocide going on with his eating of those eggs, but it was one mother's eggs that weren't fertilized. I feel like that's a pretty steep turn to take to call that genocide.
how does that qualify as genocide anyway? Like, it's not. Does anybody say there's no frog species left? That's not genocide. I don't see.
No,
It's,
but besides that, it's still nature. Eat or be
Because
eaten. Come on.
this is the last of their line. That's why.
Yeah,
of those two, right?
But-
It's of those particular ones. They didn't say it was like all the frogs. Maybe it was. I don't know.
yeah, but there's even an attempt by some people to cancel the child. Well,
Really?
I don't want to get started on canceling, and
Holy
especially
crap.
the child again, but I have some feeling.
Like facepalm.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I see it as nature. Eat or be eaten. It's as simple as that. And I strongly have the feeling that a lot of people are so disconnected from what's reality that they get shocked about everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I just have fun with the show. I think it's super fun. Some comments I hear about it like almost are like hyper serious about it. I don't know what it is. I'm just having it. To me, it's a good time. It's just fun to follow, and I think it's a really relaxing show. I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
It's interesting how extreme Moff Gideon is, because you know how at a certain point he's like, oh, you know what to do, and then just like nosedives the spaceship.
Max, can you tell us more about the Darksaber?
Yes, on Mandalore, the Darksaber was made by a Mandalorian who became a Jedi, and that was like his thing. And he came to power on Mandalore, and it became a symbol of Mandalore's leadership. So the one who won it through combat, because of the combative nature of the Mandalorians, would be the one who ruled the Mandalorians. It changed hands several times. That obviously isn't the safest way of determining a leadership cast, because it leads to constant to try to take over. But they had this constant turnover of this, and eventually it came into the hands of Bo there, and she had the ability to lead it after Gar Saxon had it before that. And there's a lot of back and forth between the different tribes there. The Mandalorians are basically tribal nations. Almost think of Afghanistan, where they have the different warlords in each area, and those guys are each kind of in charge in a way, but then like each of them is bouting for being in total control. But you have this thing where the Darksaber is the leadership of Mandalore, and so it's really critical to them. And I suspect if Moff Gideon ended up with this thing, it doesn't seem like it was legitimately, because if it was through combat, he would have received leadership of Mandalore. They didn't care what the race was. The person wielding the saber through combat victory was the leader of Mandalore. So if he's wielding that and she's going after him rather than bowing a knee, it's because he got it through some treacherous way.
Okay.
You know what? That transitions to something else that he said right at the end of the episode. Like when Biz just brought up that they crashed the ship, he said, I think it was "Long live the Empire," something very similar to that. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this. I think it was during episode 1, where what what is this fragmented post-Empire, because it's 5 years after the fall, what does it look like? And you can see people like Moff Gideon are trying still to keep the Empire order going, or at least it looks that way, which is interesting. And that may lead into why he has the Darksaber in the first place, is that he's using this as some sort of leverage for power.
Would Moff Gideon be a Sith?
Is he a Force user?
I don't know. But
It hasn't been revealed yet if he is or not. Yeah.
The Moffs were of such a level that they were basically the hand of the Emperor. There's a chance at this point that he's basically just not believing that Emperor could die after having seen how powerful he was. And if you look at the next films, obviously he technically didn't. So it might just be a continued faith in the fact that the Emperor was completely undefeatable.
Yeah. But by the way, I just want to emphasize that point as well. Like with the Darksaber as being not the greatest way to decide leadership, because at one point in the Clone Wars, Darth Maul became the leader of the Mandalorians, and you don't really want him to be the leader of the Mandalorians. So.
I think we missed the giant Ahsoka elephant in the room.
Oh, we mentioned her earlier, right?
Well, we didn't really mention her. Ahsoka Tano is the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker. We're talking about she's a dual-wielding, complete, total badass. This character coming in at this point is something that is interesting. She may not be in this episode, the next one, but she may be in the one after that. It may even be an episode after that. But her coming into this is something that is going to bring with it a lot of impact.
Yeah, she's very prominent in the Clone Wars too.
Yeah, that I know, but after 2 or 3 episodes already. But I have a question about this, and maybe I'm really stupid here because I haven't seen those cartoons, but she was Anakin's apprentice during the Clone Wars, but she's missing from episode 4, 5, 6, and actually also 3. Why is that?
Oh, of the movies. This is interesting. Her history is that she was removed from the Jedi Order just before Order 66 occurred. They were trying her on the crimes of another Jedi, and they didn't realize it was her. And she lost faith in the Order during that trial. So even though they did learn that it was someone else and forgave her, she wasn't willing to restore her faith in the Order that easily and left. So she basically survived Order 66 as a result of not having been an official Jedi at that point. But then as you get into the final season of Clone Wars, it ends up that she was back next to clones and still survived the Order, which if you haven't watched that series yet, you've got to get through the final series. I don't want to spoil that conflict for you. That was an impressive trial. But it was really impressive to see her go through that and separate from them, realize that she still wanted to use the Force for good, but not necessarily by following the Jedi mandates, and then to come back to them and accept her responsibility to what was going on in the universe at that time, particularly knowing what was going on with Anakin.
Oh, and by the way, Ahsoka Tano, I can't remember the actress's name, but she'll be played by that, remember the nurse from Daredevil?
Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson.
Exactly, yeah. She'll be played by her, yeah. There were complaints that because like in the Clone Wars, Bo-Katan was voiced by Katie Sackhoff. They wanted the one who voiced her to play her, but here we are, Rosario Dawson. Yeah.
Rosario is awesome. She'll be great.
Yeah.
Despite all the chaos of all the Skywalker line and everything, and the Palpatine line, if you want to go that far, I would consider Ahsoka to be the true image of what you want the Jedi to become. Someone who does the right thing, but isn't bound so much by tradition that she refuses to break a rule to do the right thing.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a big payoff. It's going to tie in the Darksaber storyline with Moff Gideon, and you might get a little bit of Anakin backstory, a little bit. I imagine
that's possible. Yeah, a flashback or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you actually see him or not, but you might get a little story about where she's been. Might tie in some Clone Wars stuff. There's a lot of stuff you could tie in with her, and the idea that she's going to somehow propel the delivering the child story as well. It'll be curious. You might get a lot of Jedi history here.
Yeah, Ahsoka was also seen leaving after one of the series in pursuit of what happened to Ezra after he disappeared through a time portal inside a Jedi temple. So it may be that there's some information about her dealings with Ezra Bridger, who was another Jedi from the Rebels series.
Yeah, we'll definitely get a flashback of how Moff Gideon got this Darksaber too, no doubt about that.
Yeah, I think you're definitely gonna find out from her like where that's been and how that came to be and some sort of plan to get it back or something. I don't know. I don't know if there's gonna be a full out assault against him or some kind of rogue mission to steal it back. I don't know where that's going, but you're definitely getting some backstory on what's happened with that.
Oh, by the way, there is something else that I noticed. Right near the beginning of the episode, you know that figure that was watching Mando, was that one of the people of the trio of the Mandalorians?
Yeah, I
Or
think
was
that
it
was
someone else?
No, I'm pretty sure that was the second girl, the second female Mandalorian.
Okay, right. Okay.
I'm pretty sure, unless somebody thought differently, but I'm pretty sure that's who that was.
Yeah, I also thought that.
Okay.
I thought so as well. I think it was meant to be kind of confusing because up to now you thought Mandalorians were supposed to maintain their helmet, but as it turns out, that's just the Mandalorians who aren't truly Mandalorian philosophy, where the true Mandalorians don't have that policy at all. We always saw that with any of them in the story of Clone Wars or Rebels and everything.
Children of the Watch or Guard, what was they called? Were they called?
Yeah, she said that. Yeah, exactly. Children of the Watch, I think.
Yeah.
You know what's gonna be really interesting if this leads Mando himself to changing his philosophy. Like if he winds up like adopting their principles more, or at least molding himself somehow based on meeting them. I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but he might.
I could see that happen. Actually, I have the feeling that they are following a little bit the same route like they did in season 1, where they per episode introduce a few characters that come back for the season finale, like they did in season 1.
You know what I'm wondering too? Just the I forget what his metal, the metal of his armor is called, but regardless, I love how that's now
Sakaar.
twice. Yes, I love how that's twice been a target now, and it makes me wonder if there's going to be a payoff to that later in the season, because 2 separate groups, actually 3, I think every episode somebody's like tried to go after his armor.
Well, actually, the fact that they are going after it is a payoff on its own, because in the first season it was mentioned by the Smithy to him that they will take notice of his new armor. So basically, you see that happening now. So it's actually quite good.
Yeah, it's the thing is, it's very valuable. That's why everyone's trying to kill him or steal it.
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm just curious. Like, they really are going after it. He's had several different groups try to go after his armor and try to like sabotage him or trick him or make a deal with him and pretend they were his friend and then try to steal his armor behind his back.
Without hesitation, just to strip the corpse after it's pooped out by the sea monster.
Yeah. Just anything to get his armor.
Yeah, well, we just have to wait and see. Well, I think that wraps up for this week. Yeah, we're all in agreement? Okay. Well, before we go, I want to invite you all again to sakaar.freeforums.net to join us. And maybe we'll see you soon on the podcast or review. I wish you all a very nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.